the producer should have seen it and done the outreach. All right, they messed that up. They dropped the ball on that. The next step would have been for the producer to just not sell all their rights to the beat. What the f is wrong with you? I gotta push the button, but yeah. What's going down? It is the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast powered by BeatStars. We're live every Monday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on beatstars.live. Check out musicentrepreneur.club.com for the schedule. Also check out beatstars.world for all things going down in the BeatStars universe. Today, in addition to me interviewing my very special guest, former Wall Street giant Dame Ritter.
Let me shout out the text marketing session before,
my bad.
we jump into it. No, you didn't know. So every Monday at 1:30, in addition to my live MEC session that starts at 12, I'm doing a live text marketing webinar. So I've been trying to get artists to use text marketing more. It's very powerful. You always want to own the connection with your fans. So that's what we've been talking about every Monday at 1:30. And if you'd like to attend that session, the sign up link is in the Music Entrepreneur Club bio. As always, it's free, no excuses. Come learn how to own the communication with your fans. So yeah, carry on, Payne. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. So where was I? Dame Ritter is a very special guest. I'm privileged to have the option to interview him every week. Our actual special guest is the subject of much controversy ever since a Rolling Stone article came out. Actually, his TikTok video talking about the situation went viral first. His name is Caleb Hearn. He's a talented artist and the guy that was a part of this whole Jacob Goldman beat poaching controversy. How are you feeling, sir? Good morning.
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on, especially given, I don't know if you saw last week's episode. Dame and I didn't always agree on every point of our analysis of the situation. So there were some assumptions floating around. There were some harsh words. I may have called Jacob Goldman a bloodsucker. I may have blamed the producer for the entire situation. So there was there's a lot of emotion and contention wrapped up in this situation. I'm a producer, so I'm always a little nervous when an article like this comes out, because it's going to scare people into thinking they can't get beats online, or they think that something horrible is going to happen when they lease a beat, which isn't the case. But we can talk about that. Dame, did you want to kick things off, or should we have?
Yeah, well, before we jump into what happened, let's learn a little bit more about Caleb and kind of your story. Who you are, how long you've been making music, what your goals are, stuff like that. It doesn't have to be long-winded, but definitely want to get a little background on yourself before we just jump into drama.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 20 years old, from the North Carolina area. I've been making music, really been interested in making music pretty much my whole life. But it's been really just this past year that I've actually been taking it really seriously and just trying to go for it. I quit my job probably July, August time of 2020. And since then, it's been all gas, no brakes. And a lot of good things have come from it, and I'm learning a lot. I'm excited to share new music with everybody. My goals for 2021 is just to grow as much as I did in 2020. Always be moving in a positive direction. Don't fall back at all. That's kind of my motto. But yeah, man, that's kind of where I'm at.
I like that. I like that you're trying to grow. Consistent growth. That's what I'm all about. But what does your day look like? Somebody that stops working. You say you're all in on music. What does that mean for you? How do you structure your day?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So basically what I try to do is I think physical health is important. So I try to get up early, hit the gym. That kind of starts my day. I try to do that as early as possible so that I don't waste the day. I try to be back home, around 8 a.m., 7:30 a.m. after the workout, come home, fuel up, eat something, and immediately hit the studio, man. I immediately try to look through analytics on TikTok, because TikTok is kind of where I'm hitting hard. Work on new content, brainstorm ideas. I do that probably for 2 to 3 hours. And then I spend another hour or two, actually making the content. And then I kind of wind my day down with the thing I love the most, which is making original stuff. working on original stuff, finishing up things. And then in those times, you know, it always varies day to day, because in those times you have calls, you'll have, you know, manager call, you know, producers, all these sessions that are thrown in here. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's if, you know, normally if there's no calls or anything, that's kind of what my day looks like, you know, work on some content early morning, start working on original stuff, and then probably wrap up around 6 every day.
And so you do have a manager?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How long have you had management?
A little bit over a year. So okay. Probably November, December of 2019.
Okay, awesome. And give us the back. I know that this song is special to you, and you know, for a particular reason. You want to give us the story behind the song that went viral?
Yeah, absolutely. So the song was about my best friend who passed away. He was my best friend growing up through middle school, high school. We pretty much did everything together. And basically he was kind of like my biggest supporter too. So he was like the one guy that was always like, dude, you got to keep making music. Like even when it sucked, I mean, it was bad. And he was like, dude, you got to keep doing it. I feel like you're going to make it, you know, and all this stuff. And at the time I just didn't really think about it. You know, it's kind of ironic now, but like, you know, it's just ironic to me that the one song that really kind of helped me the most was the one about him. But yeah, he passed away in 2017 due to kind of a hiking accident, and I wasn't there. So for me, it was like a very hard thing to process. First off, you know, it's your best friend. Second off, it's such something just doesn't happen. You know, it's so traumatic, and it's like you can't wrap your head around something like that. And for me, I wasn't really able to grieve. I mean, it was just kind of like a numbing feeling for like 3 years. And I always knew in my head, I was like, you know what, I want to do something in honor of him, music related, because I feel like that's where I have my biggest voice and everything. But when I would force it and try, nothing ever came out. And then one day I wasn't trying. I just genuinely wasn't trying anything. I just started writing. I like to just kind of sit down and write, think of a first lyric and then go from there. And I'm just writing, and all of a sudden it's like I'm writing about him, and I didn't mean to or didn't realize, you know, it just started happening. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is. And then I really liked it. And then I posted just a little snippet on TikTok, and it blew up. So for me, it was just, yeah.
Nice.
Crazy.
So we as creatives are always personally and emotionally connected to our art. But in this case, this was more than just you writing a song. This was your grieving process, just in song form. So that matters. I mean, we're talking about this situation mostly from a very strictly business perspective, and as much as we can do that, the artist side of me acknowledges that it goes beyond just that. And you know, we're always talking about in the music business, and you take your emotions out of the music business. It's all business, never personal. But in this case, that's not really easy, is it?
It's not. No, it really isn't, because first off, you know, I'm not used to the music business scene. Like I mean, before this, I mean, it was nothing for me. You know, it was, I didn't have any connections with producers. I didn't have connections with music lawyers, anything really. So for me, it was just, hey, I wrote this song that meant everything to me, you know, and it was like, as much as, you know, I'm learning now, you know, emotions can't be put into, you know, are just, they're not relevant in something like this. But, you know, at the time, you know, early December when this happened, I was like, you know, that's the only thing I could think, because I just didn't know, you know, what the music business was. So yeah, for sure.
So you started writing the lyrics before you got the beat, or you found a beat and were writing to you found a beat and you were writing the lyrics to the beat?
In this scenario, I'm trying to remember exactly, but I think in this scenario, I had started like a first line and was like, okay, I want this to be like soft, sad, something like that. So I'm looking, you know, piano ballads, like scrolling through, you know, finding something that, you know, gives you this emotional feel. That's maybe a ballad, because that's the first time I'd ever done like anything ballad or emotional like that. So I was like, yeah, that's kind of what, because I remember I had like a first line, like okay. You were there in times of need. Like I had that first line kind of there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, so I want something. I knew the vibe after that. And that's when I started searching, found something pretty quick, and then wrote from there pretty much.
Where did you find the beat?
YouTube.
Okay. And then Did it take you to? Hopefully, it took you to BeatStars. But if it didn't, feel free.
It eventually did. It eventually did.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
So I went through the leasing option.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you ever actually talk to the producer or communicate in any way before purchasing the beat or after the beat, but before the drama? Like, was there any communication?
Yep. There was communication before the drama, after the purchase of the beat. So basically, well, one thing, I mean, I didn't know much about at the time about like what happens, you know, if you know, to be honest with you guys, I didn't even know. I mean, I have no musical business background whatsoever. And that's just being straight up. So like, I had no idea. I mean, I knew something about exclusives and all that, but I mean, I was the guy that was like, oh, I can buy the unlimited for $200. And I thought that was the exclusive. So
Right.
like, you know, that's where I was, you know, business wise, but I did, you know, obviously once the song started blowing up a little bit, I think I had up to the 500K max on streams. And I was like, you know, I immediately reached out to him because I was like, dude, this is going to pass that. It's doing like 150K a day. So
Well,
I hit him up.
let me commend you for that alone, because you know most artists that buy beats, if it hits a threshold, they're probably not going to circle back. Is that right, Payne? Is it more?
Oh yeah, and this is just everything that Caleb is saying is just further supporting my initial opinion that it was all the producer's fault. But yeah, please continue. I'm curious to hear what the response was when you reached out to the producer and tried to upgrade the license.
So basically, I didn't necessarily go into the conversation. I kind of hit him up on DM, and actually it was weird because the song was blowing up, and I had all these DMs coming in. Like I had record labels. I was like swamped, dude. I had so much going on, and it just hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to reach out to this guy. And I go through my DM, or I go to reach out to him, and he had already messaged me. And I was like, okay, cool, awesome. We're on the same page. He's pretty much like congratulating me, and then he also lets me know like I have the 500K max. I was like, sure, definitely. So I start texting him. I was like, hey, definitely want to get the exclusive. Let's talk about that. Let's work out a deal where you get creds, you get, you know, something going forward forever so that you're not screwed. You know, I was pretty much pointing all that out. And that's when the Justin Goldman thing came up. That's when that conversation kind of took place. So it might have been the same day that I hit up that producer, maybe the day after, something like that. But I hit that producer up before the drama and pretty much said, I didn't say like, hey, here's this much cash. I just said, hey, let's make a deal, because I was so busy. I was waiting for him to kind of come back with something. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I did.
So at this time, the producer, Goldman had already reached out to the producer.
No, not yet. So basically it was me reach out to him.
Yeah.
Reached out to the producer. Producer kind of texted me back, just real small talk. Like, yeah, we'll figure something out. You know, we'll do this, blah, blah, blah. And then it goes immediately to Justin Goldman calls me, says, hey, bro, I want to get you to New York. I want to get you, you know, just absolutely hyping me up. And I'm like, at the time, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, man. I'm the next Justin Bieber. I was like, you know, that's what goes through your mind.
So basically, you had all this traction just because one song hit 500,000. Like one song hits 500,000, and you're getting flooded with DMs from.
Well, I think where it was coming from was my TikTok. That's where it was flooding from, because I made my TikTok promo about it, and it was basically like, hey, you know, this is a song I wrote for my best friend who passed away. It's the last song I'm dropping of the year. If you like it, awesome. Go stream it here. And it was blowing up. So it was like, it was doing like 2 to 3 mil. It had 2 to 3 mil at that time. So that's where the DMs were flooding in. We're saying like, this song is so relatable. And then labels hitting me up because they knew the song was taking off. Like all this stuff's going on. And Justin Goldman's one of them, you know, hitting me up, whatever. And really the first kind of conversation was, do you have a manager kind of that? And I didn't really read that, but that's what he says, you know, in his Rolling Stone article too. Like he was more management, I guess. And I mentioned eventually, you know, I had a manager and stuff. And I was like, hey, let me get back to you. That's pretty much what I said. I was like, hey, let me get back to you because I got so much going on. And I actually had another call with might have been Empire or something like that. But I had another call with a label like while he was talking to me. And I was like, let me jump off here, man. I'm so sorry, because this was unplanned. He just texted me. And I was like, I got to get on this call. I'll call you back maybe today or tomorrow about, you know, and he was like, let's act quick. He just kept saying, let's act quick, you know, and I was like, okay. And very urgent. Yeah. And basically from there, I'm trying to remember my train of thought there. Oh yeah. So from there, I don't reach back out to him because I talked to my manager, talked to some other people in the industry that I trust. I mean, they said that we see it all the time. This is just not something like you want to be jumping on. And so I didn't. And basically I go back to that producer to follow up with them. And again, didn't see the messages because my inbox was flooded. I missed the messages probably by 6 hours or so. And I go back there and he's texted me 4 times. And the text kind of reads like, this is paraphrasing, but something like, hey, you know Justin Goldman? And I'm like, yeah, kind of. He goes, well, and he did say, he was like, well, kind of what my vibe is basically is that you guys are working together. And I'm like, no, we're not. He's like, well, I just sold the beat to him. And I'm like, why did you do that? And he was basically like, you know, well, he basically pretty much said, I thought you guys were working together. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
That's pretty much what he said. So for me, I was like, dude, I mean, I was kind of mad at him, but at the same time, and I was like, I know he's probably a kid like me. Like, I wasn't going to sit there and blame him. He said, I mean, he even went to the T of like, man, I just needed rent money, man. Like, it wasn't, you know, I mean, for him, this wasn't, you know, his career. I think he was just like, this is a hobby. And one of his songs blows up. He needs some cash. And yeah, that's kind of how it went down.
Well, it could have been his career had he not done this. I guess, you know, because that was something that came up, especially in our comments. It was like, sometimes, you know, you got to sell the beat. You don't have a choice. I don't know if you did read that comment, Dame, because you responded to it and said, yeah, you should never. You just reiterated. And so a lot of people will say that we're just being elitist assholes, and yeah, people are in bad financial situations. And I'm just looking at it like, okay, yes, there are people in bad financial situations, but if you have a choice between making $1,000 today and $50,000 next month, and you take the $1,000 today, I'm sorry, but that's foolish. It just is. And you know, no one has a gun to. You can make money other ways. That's just my point.
Well, that's a super simple scenario, right? I'm sure it wasn't. You know, if you do wait, you're gonna wait more than a month, probably. Probably for the back end stuff. Do you know how much he sold it for? Did he tell you?
Yeah. Don't quote me on this because it's either the two, but it was either 2 or 2,500.
Oh shit!
That's nothing, and that's what I'm saying. Because off the streams alone, he could have made that in a quarter. I mean, and obviously you have to wait for that, but the happy medium would have just been to charge Caleb, you know, $1,000 for it, or you know, whatever it was, and I'm sure you would have paid that, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
you get $1,000 from you, your rent's covered, and then you figure out how to collect your various royalty streams, come up with some kind of master split that makes sense, come up with, you know, the standard composition split, and next thing you know, if and when you sign a label deal, this producer's on. This producer has a viral hit single, and yeah, it might not be his main career, but why would you turn down if you're like, yeah, I just make music for fun? Well, do you want a hit record or not? And no. That's weird. Why would you refuse? So this all just, to me, it falls on the producer. However, it does sound as though Jacob Goldman completely lied to him and misrepresented your relationship with him.
And you know, he kind of put the same sense of urgency, like the pressure on him. It seemed like that he had to move fast. Because I always get on artists for not checking their emails, not checking their DMs. But you mentioned it was only 6 hours. You know, because I see a lot of producers and artists that miss opportunities just because they don't check the DMs. But I'm when I say that, I'm not referring to checking it every hour, you know, or missing something by 6 hours. Like most, like just don't check at all.
Yeah.
You know, but it seemed like he put pressure on him, like, hey, we got to do this fast. We got to do this fast. And also I'm working with Caleb. So, you know, maybe made him feel a little better about having the conversation. And, you know, ultimately, that's why we have these conversations. That's why the Music Entrepreneur Club exists. Everybody takes L's in the beginning. Hopefully it's just a lesson, and you just kind of move forward and you learn. So did you circled, well, actually, how did that conversation end? Like, when you're probably frustrated when you heard that he did this, like, what was the dialogue after that?
The conversation between me and the producer kind of ended like, I did keep hitting him up quite a bit because I didn't know, exactly what the deal was, because he was kind of my middleman, it felt like. So I was kind of like, hey, has Justin said anything else? Or, because I wasn't contacting with Justin at that time. So I was like, hey, has Justin said anything else? Blah, blah, blah. And we're just texting back and forth. And I'm pretty mad. So I'm, obviously saying stuff like, dude, why'd you do that? Like that kind of stuff. Mm. And you should have checked with me, like that kind of thing. And it wasn't like, an argument. It was just kind of like an awkward conversation, I guess, at that point. But it did eventually end, I think. And it eventually ended. But, we kind of touched base later on and we kind of figured things out. But
mm-hmm. So obviously then Mr. Goldman circles back. Do you reach out to him or does he reach out to you?
That's the thing, man. Once he bought that beat, he did not care about me one bit, not a bit. He didn't text me. He didn't call me anymore. He didn't reach out whatsoever. I had to reach out to him, and the roles were reversed from him being, I want you to come here, to me begging him to make a fair deal, pretty much with me. And basically the only thing I would get back was, hey, I'll work with you. I'll work with you. And then whenever I would throw an idea out, he'd just be like, no, just reach my lawyer. At the time, I didn't have a lawyer. He was like, just throw it to my lawyer. I don't want to talk about it. And and basically for me, I was like, look, man, I don't even have the money to like grab a lawyer right now. Like, you got to understand, like, I'm a 20-year-old kid making music out of my basement. I just made a song that's going viral. Do you have the decency to even chat with me? And then he would, bring up the whole fact of, well, this is how business is done, through lawyers. And I'm like, okay, I agree with that. But how did you contact the producer? He said, well, I contacted him. I was like, okay, so do that with me then, don't like, just crazy. Cause he hit me up over Twitter, and he hit the producer up, I'm pretty sure, over Twitter or Instagram. He didn't contact his lawyer or, this were all it felt like under the table type stuff.
Yeah. Cause he wanted his lawyer to be involved when things were, when he was defending his position, but he didn't want a lawyer to be involved when he's negotiating with the other party because he's taking advantage of them. It's just bloodsucker stuff.
Right.
So here's a question for you. Did he never discussed any kind of terms, never made any offer? Because I'm reading the article. It says Goldman tried to offer Hearn reassurances after the buyout, would love to work with you on it. Not trying to do something bad or take the song down. I want to help you with it. I do this with beats and songs all the time, which is like a super evil thing to say. But Hearn became increasingly distressed about losing control over all his beat.
So essentially that was a lie. Like, he wasn't trying to reach out and say, hey, let's see how we can make this song even bigger. He was, basically sending you to his lawyer.
Correct. He quotes that in the Rolling Stone because that was a text that was initially after I had kind of been like, what the heck, dude? Like, what is your plan? And he's like, hey, I'm not trying to do anything mean, shady, whatever. He wants to put that in writing so it makes him obviously look better. But then when I would call him or we would start talking, it'd be like, we're not talking numbers. Stop talking numbers. Like, don't talk numbers. And I was like, well, what do you want to talk? Because we obviously I have no control of the situation. So I'm trying to talk numbers. I don't think I included this in Rolling Stone, but I even offered the man double what he paid, double in cash. And he was like, or he said, I would need a F ton more than that. And I was like, okay. So I just stopped. That was quoted after I said, what would it take for me to, get the exclusive rights or at least make a deal with you where I, can have the exclusive rights to the beat? And he was like, and I had mentioned 5, and he was like an F ton more than that.
So what about a situation where, he runs a label, right? Or he works at a label? What?
Yeah.
It's in both of your guys' best interests to make the song as big as it can be. Could you guys, what about instead of saying, hey, let me buy the beat back. All right, you now own half the song. Let's come up with an agreement to say we split the song 50-50 and we try to push the song for as big as it can get. Was that ever an option?
Right. So to be completely honest with you guys, that's when emotions were hitting me, honestly. And I didn't think like that because my thought was, I don't care what happens. I don't want to work with this guy. I just don't. I don't want to be in business with this guy at all. Because I'm talking to my lawyer. My lawyer's giving me all those options. Like, hey, let's try this. Let's try this. And I just told my lawyer, he was like, what do you want? And I was like, to be honest, man, I am honestly about to take the song down because I don't care. I mean, the song was not even supposed to come out. The song was made for my friend who passed away. And I wanted to share it with people to make a positive impact on them. And now this whole thing goes on. Yeah, people don't know about it. So it looks good. Everything looks cool. But that's not the point. To me, when I go to sleep at night, I know what really this song's about now, pretty much. How this song has been turned completely for money. And that's not what I wanted at the time. So for me, I was like, no, I don't really want to work with him. I don't really care if he wants to make a deal. I don't really, I didn't really want to unless he was willing to give me what I thought was going to be rightfully mine, or, with the producer in a normal term.
And I think that's a combination of good and bad, right? Because I think emotionally you're justified. Business-wise, your emotions aren't necessarily compatible with what the negotiations process could have been.
Absolutely.
But as I said earlier, it's what do you do in those situations? You're mourning your friend, you're connected to the song, and you have no music business experience. And here comes this guy that's just, he's doing scumbag shit. And yes, you could split it 50-50 with him, but based on the way his energy is, you don't want to. And I think that's fair. I mean, we all make those kinds of distinctions in the business where some situations are about money, but sometimes the relationship is just as important, if not more important, right? And so in this case, you made the determination that this guy isn't behaving in a way consistent with your morals, and therefore you'd rather just not work with him, even if it meant making more money.
Right.
So did you take the song, did you end up, because obviously you distributed it yourself and the streaming income is coming to you. Did you take the song down? Did he put some type of stop on the song? Did he pull the song down? Like what happened?
I pulled it down. He didn't pull it down.
Okay.
I pulled it down. That's when the whole thing with the lawyer came up. Are you guys familiar with what kind of happened in the end?
No. Feel free to continue.
Okay. Well, that original version, my lawyer made the comment, hey, do you want this song to be up? Do you want this song to make an impact on people? And do you want to own the song? I was like, that's the ultimate goal. And he's like, well, it is your composition. It is your song. Redo it, completely change it, completely change the melody, completely change everything about it pretty much. And at first I was like, it's probably not going to work, but I mean, I could try. And through all this, I connected with a really good producer, and he just made it his own. He made it totally different. And I used my lyrics, and I took the old one down and put the new one up.
Oh, how well is it performing versus the original?
30 times better.
Woo, there we go.
Yeah, and I wanted to say this because I think on some, obviously it was an unauthorized upload, I found the original version of the song, and then I listened to, it's called the 2.0 version, I think you named it, right? Sonically, the new version sounds 20 times better. Yeah. So somehow I know emotionally that must have been hard to revisit that song after all you went through, but how did you pull that out of you to make it? Because you performed the song better, the mix was better, the beat was musically better. This was actually a blessing in disguise, right?
It was, man. I compared it. The first version blew up on TikTok. It did like 80 to 90K first day. The second version did almost 250K first day.
Nice.
So it did it blew up. I mean, the TikTok video had 22 million or has 22 million now. And for me, when the idea came up, I was very skeptical And honestly, when we got that, like you were talking about, it sounds better sonically. Everyone I knew I showed to said it didn't. They didn't like it. And I loved it. I was like, no, I really do like this. I think this is better. I think this is more, it felt more vulnerable. It just felt good. And a lot of people that heard the original version was like, and that was just because they had heard the original, I think. And so going into it, I was like, this may not work. This may be an absolute flop and I'm going to look like an idiot. And so I took the old one down, or I put the new one up, then took the old one down, and the new one like skyrocketed.
Were you already telling the story of what had happened with Mr. Goldman? Did that help drive the streams of the second release, or was it
For sure better? For sure.
Okay, so the story everybody was told.
Yeah, everybody. Well, not until the song had dropped, but everybody who had followed me beforehand knew the story about my best friend who died, and that's what the song was about. That's what they were connecting with. And then for me to come out there and say, hey, this is the reason I got to take your favorite song down right now. And here's the new version of it. Hope you like it. That resonated with people a lot. And it I think it resonated with people because, Goldman can say all he wants about, I was trying to extort him, or I was trying to bring him down with me, or things like that, whatever he wants to say. But to me, I had to explain it to people. How else am I going to explain it? Like, hey, I have to take your best song down now. I don't have to, but I want to, because none of it's not even my song. Like, I don't want that up, I want something that I own. I want something that I'm proud of on my page. So here's the new version. Here's the story, as blunt as it is. And I even hid his name, didn't go out there slandering him, but obviously TikTok is pretty cruel when it comes to that stuff. But yeah, I went out there and told my story just the same as if you get bullied at school, people are going to tell the story, whether it's right or wrong, and there's going to be repercussions.
This is like the ill mind of Caleb 8.
Does he have a public presence? Is he on social media? Like
he is, but he wasn't like an influencer by any means.
Okay. I don't think he'll come talk to us, but I'm going to extend the offer to talk to him. And if he doesn't, not that this is a threat, not that our platform is ridiculously huge, but I think people like him need to be exposed. It's similar to me paying is your boy K on the track, because this isn't right. This isn't traditional record label stuff. This has nothing. Go ahead, Caleb. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying you're right. It's not. And I thought at first, I was like, here we go. This is what they all talk about, how bad the music industry is. But then I talked to other people, and even biggest record labels are saying, dude, that even record labels do shady stuff, but that's shady right there. That's as shady as it gets, pretty much. And,
I'd be curious to, again, not that our platform is Joe Rogan, but it would be good to allow him to explain things from his perspective, because obviously you're coming from your perspective, you're emotionally connected to the song, and it's very easy to consider his conduct scumbag behavior. I'm curious to know what he thinks about his approach. But having said that, now that the song is recreated, re-released, and doing well, what has come of that re-release and the success of it? Are you looking to sign? Are you just riding the independent wave and collecting royalties and laughing all the way to the bank? What's the current status?
So obviously when it released again, the same record labels before reached out again saying like, this is insane. Like, let's talk, So I talked to the same amount of record labels. I didn't really, I didn't sign like a big deal or anything. I signed a very short-term publishing deal just on the song. So I remain independent, but there's a small publishing deal on it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And really from all of this, it's mainly just been the connections I've made. And now I have tons of producers that I can work with and actually connect with. And it just gives me a much bigger outlet and a much better chance at making this thing a career for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. Obviously, it's a learning experience. You know, you've been able to connect with a lot of people, hopefully just a lot more solid people, and to figure out how you're moving forward. You know, you're early in your career. It's going to take a lot more songs to get where you need to be, a lot more engagement, a lot more content. You know, I guess the good thing is, one, it ended up being a positive thing for you. You know, but two, it happened early. And you kind of, you know, know the reason that we're kind of always preaching the artists need to educate themselves.
Very true. Very true.
You know, dope. So going forward, like what does this year look like for you? What do you got planned?
Yeah, man. I have a song coming out tonight at midnight. It's a collaboration with another artist. And then I'm going to have my kind of official, I guess, follow up to Always Be, my next single, coming at the end of February.
Nice.
So my goal is to drop pretty routinely, like I was in 2020, pretty much once a month. And, you know, maybe form another album or EP and just keep doing that, man. Like, and then obviously keep working on TikTok to, you know, get more engagement and, you know, grow a bigger audience.
So you release once a month, and then what do you do? What do you typically do to push the song? Like, what do you fill in with that month to kind of tell your story and continue pushing the song? What does that look like for you?
I try to have an actual marketing plan, because I'm in school for marketing, and I feel like that's kind of marketing has always been something that I like, I guess not good at, but like really focus on and know a little more about than most people. So I really like try to create this aesthetic for every single. I try to create even all the way down to the color, all the way down to the mood that the song is, so that all month long, you know, if you're on my Instagram, if you're on my Twitter, if you're on my mainly Instagram and TikTok, you're seeing the story come to play. Like, oh, he's been posting in black and white for the last 6 posts. Wonder what's coming. And then all of a sudden, you know, you notice there's a song that's about anxiety and you know, something that represents that black and white scheme and everything. It's just it's kind of like what every big artist does. And people don't notice it, but it's really, I mean, you look at Justin Bieber's feed right now, the last 9 posts are all the same thing pretty much. And it's all representing that album that's coming. So that's kind of what I'm doing for each release, is coming up with this story that I can tell everybody. And then when it drops, having this, you know, marketing promo that goes out and just kind of seeing what happens with it.
Dope. Payne, any more questions for him, or?
Shout out your social media and everything so people can follow you. Cause I when I finally heard the song, you know, there was so much hype about this because of the Rolling Stone article and all the conversations and controversy. And so then when I finally heard the song, I'm like, this better be good. And it was. So I was satisfied. If it had been mediocre, I would have been like, man, fuck, why did we waste all this energy? But no, it was a really good song. So I'm curious to hear your follow-ups, and I'm happy to hear that this is work, because I didn't know this was working out better. I didn't know what the numbers were. I was very ignorant coming into the situation. I just read the Rolling Stone article.
You're good,
so yeah, shout out your socials, and our 80 million viewers. I'm lying. Can check you out.
I mean, we downplay, but we do have a pretty good audience, and we will promote, you know, your music, that the upcoming song. Make sure you send it to us. We'll at least throw it in our story and try to get our community familiar with what you're doing.
I appreciate it, man. I really do. My Instagram is Caleb Hearn Music. TikTok is Caleb Hearn Music. Those are the 2 things that I would probably direct you most to. New music's coming. Go follow me on Spotify at Caleb Hearn, and yeah, that's pretty much it, man.
And if you ever have any questions, man, feel free to reach out to us direct. Feel free to attend our live sessions. You know, so every once in a while, I do a music manager roundtable where a lot of up and coming managers get together and exchange ideas. Those aren't like on a set timeline. They're kind of just at random. Yeah. But tell your manager to tap in, man. It's super important for him to be learning as much as he can, so he can start being resourceful and
absolutely,
you know, hopefully being a shield for you, in addition to helping you grow in your business. So
absolutely,
have him or her. I'm not sure if it's a him or her. But,
it's a her, actually. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, tell her to tap in and, because I think we have a great platform. A lot of people contribute to it. It's not just me and Payne. We have a lot of people that contribute to the platform and educate, aspiring creatives so that they can avoid some of the situations that, you unfortunately found yourself in, but fortunately found yourself out of in a much better position.
For sure. I appreciate the opportunity, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on. This was the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast. I believe this is episode 85, powered by BeatStars. We're live with our free music business mentorship program. I think it's the only free music business mentorship program, and certainly the only free one that meets twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays, 3 p.m.
And I love being able to say that. So shout out to BeatStars for being able to make that happen. Because typically, when you have a session, they hit you with the sales at the end. They're like, well, the session was free, but we do have this $2,000 training that you can buy if you enjoyed what you just heard. And then they get you in the sales funnel and endless amounts of emails. So I'm not that all of that. Well, I would say a lot of that is just terrible, but I'm just glad we don't have to do that, and we can just.
I don't have the energy for that.
So dope, man. All right, man. You guys enjoy the rest of the week. If you do want to tap in for the people watching, if you want to get a text every time we go live, just text MEC to 844-206-7800. That's MEC to 844-206-7800. And you'll get a text before we go live. And yeah, man, rock with us.
Appreciate you for tuning in. Peace.